Welcome to episode 28 of What's Up Cuzzo podcast. We have Melly in the building.
What up?
What's up with you, Cuzzo?
Another day in the life. Can't complain. How you feeling?
Yes, sir. I feel great. And we have myself, part two of the pod. Myself, Marco. Oh, I didn't like that one. Yeah, I like that one better.
There you go.
Or that one. Anyway, man, so how was your week?
Man, can't complain, man. Week was kind of slow, but it's okay. We made it here. Good thing it was only 4 days this week, because yeah, it would have been longer. So
I
we're
feel
coming to you on a special show, before the holiday. So yeah, man, week's going good.
Yeah, I didn't say that. Thank you for including that. Man. So yeah, as he said, man, we are I know some of you will be with friends and family on tomorrow, or you may just want, to chill out. You can watch our clips because I'll make sure it's clipped up, so you could, you know, indulge in whatever part you want to indulge in. But anyway, whatever you do, hopefully you have fun doing it. My week was good as well, man. I don't want to say what this week entailed because last week I was called rich. You know I ain't rich, but I'm working on it. But today was a good day. Like you said, it was a shortened week, so that's much better. You know my my the endpoint engineers tried to sneak some stuff in, earlier on in the week. I'm like, bro, like y'all don't know this is a short week, man. What we try to do?
Right.
Rush something in on Monday. Hey, man, hey, you know, I, we talk about movies a lot. You remember that movie? Let me know if you know the saying. Uh, hey, Dad, let's run down there and f us a cow. No, son, let's walk down and f them all.
Mm,
You know where that's from?
got me there.
The movie Colors. That's when
Wow. Now I gotta go back and watch it.
Sean Penn was getting game from his OG officer,
Mhm.
right? And so the story basically, don't be quick to rush and to run into things, take your time and
Mhm.
you get more done, and be more effective. What I'm saying? Really the main thing is more effective because hey, he wanted to run down there and just mess with one of the cows. Hey man, let's save our energy, by walking down there, and let's be more precise. It's a lot of them down there. It might be more than one we want. So, uh,
Mm.
yeah, let's take them all down. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
Let's
we're
be
gonna get
thorough. Yeah.
huh?
Let's be
Exactly.
thorough.
Thorough. Actually,
Mhm.
absolutely. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and hop into the show. Uh, things have happened.
And as always, things will continue to happen as we know it.
Man, the diddler, Sean Puffy Combs,
Take that, take that, take that,
all of
take.
that.
Yeah.
Diddy, freaky what I'm saying, he probably has some freaky Fridays. We talked about that. Hey, but guess what, the verdict was read and he was found guilty on some charges, but the main charge, well, the charge that would have potentially given him life, he was found not guilty. Let us take a look and see what they got to say about that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
so so no on the Rico,
No Rico.
but yes to the Freako. As the t-shirts were saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see what they got to say about it.
Another big story we're following for you. A judge has ruled Sean Diddy Combs will remain in jail after a jury found him guilty on 2 counts of prostitution. The music mogul was acquitted, though, on the most serious charges, that's sex trafficking and racketeering. Attorneys for Combs declined to comment on the bail being denied, saying that those things are still in process. Listen.
We are not nearly done fighting. Today was a major, major step in the right direction, but we fight on and we're going to win, and we're not going to stop until he walks out of prison a free man to his family.
CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman was inside the courtroom yesterday at the end of this epic 7-week trial. She's here with us now to share some of the latest. Katrina, good morning to you. Take us inside the room. What was it like when the verdict was read, and specifically the reaction from Sean Combs' team that he was cleared of the most serious charges here?
I mean, Sean Combs was absolutely elated in that courtroom as the not guilties began coming in. When he heard that he was guilty on that first transportation for a prostitution charge, I did see him get suddenly startled. But then there was another not guilty on sex trafficking of Jane. And he just looked so relieved. He was putting his face in his hands. He was making prayer hands and mouthing thank you to the jury and his team as well. I walked out next to his lead attorney, Mark Agnifilo, and he yelled, "Holy," an expletive on the way out. But there was a very different tenor later in the day, Errol. Sean Combs truly thought he was going home. In fact, after that verdict was read, I saw him turn around to his family and mouth to them, "I'm coming home." Wow. So I think he truly thought he was going to walk out of that courthouse last night. The judge decided otherwise. And at the end of that, I saw Mark Agnifilo, his attorney, again, go over to the family and try to give them a pep talk. He said that it was a great day, that this was a victory for them, that no one has beaten the Southern District of New York on a racketeering case, and that at the end of the day, Sean Combs is going to ultimately get his life back.
And there are now a lot of questions about what the prosecution got wrong in failing to bring the most serious charges and convincing that jury. But the jury and you and the rest of us, they saw and heard evidence of Combs' violence towards women.
We'll stop it right there. So, what you got to say? What you got to say?
Yeah, man. I'm just trying to figure out why he couldn't go home. I mean, you think about it, just get out of jail and go order some more prostitutes on the way to the house. And that's crazy. I seen a post too. They said no more flying y'all out because
man,
it's a charge now, so I can't fly y'all out. For you to come and
100%.
Right. So that makes sense. But, technicalities on that, man, is ridiculous. He should have been able to go home. Reason why they was holding him was because of the RICO charge. And all of a sudden you get off. Now you get to hold me for what? I don't get that part. Like, I don't understand, And then why wasn't this trial televised? What makes a trial
I don't think
able to be televised and not televised? Was it because of what the charges were? They thought they couldn't be put on TV or something? Too explicit?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, but I can't remember when the last time I've seen a
high profile case.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was Johnny Depp and his girlfriend. That was on TV.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. That's a great question. That's something that I actually didn't think about why it wasn't televised, but to your point, I mean, the things that I heard that were talked about in the court
right
may have been a little too
graphic
or graphic for daytime TV.
Gotcha.
But they could have had it on a streaming platform or something.
Yeah, streaming. I could have put it on BET Uncut at night,
Right. I could have put it on the box.
Right, the box,
Yeah.
Put it on what's the other one? I forget. Tubi. I don't know.
Freevee.
Right.
Freevee is another one. Yeah. I don't know.
What's the Zeus Network where they be having all the crazy stuff? Crazy shows.
Swim.
Yeah, Adult Swim. There you go. Comedy Central, something.
Yeah, they could have did something. Somebody could have came up.
Right.
Oh, that's a great question. you know what? Actually, I'll ask you a question. You know, because I've heard a lot of people, and I'll give my take after you. But I heard a lot of people say that the jury made a mistake. The jury failed. The jury, you know, all those different types of things where the jury didn't do their job. What do you think about that as it relates to this case?
Well, when you have a case or you go to a jury trial, you're supposed to have a jury of your peers. And who's to say he had a jury of his peers? We don't necessarily know that. You know, what deems the people that's on a jury trial a jury of your peers? Is it from your community, from your neighborhood? Are you in the entertainment industry? You know, are you in the escort industry? I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing. You know, so what gives me, you know, the best chance to have a fair trial here? It has to be a jury, you know, that's from your community or in and around your community. I guess everyday working people per se, but that really can't be a jury of your peers, I
Yeah,
think.
that's what I say. They wouldn't qualify if it, you know, everyday working people because they, you know, you have far surpassed that and you've been out of that
Hmm.
particular group of people for a long time.
Right. And I
And
don't
they
think you
want
could.
the
I don't
opinion.
think you. I don't think you could subpoena or jury duty millionaires. You know, and say, "Hey, you got to come to court to hear this trial." I don't think you can do that. You know,
You
never
can't.
seen it.
They'll
I
get
could be wrong.
I mean, if they're Americans, I mean, if they pay taxes, then technically they are supposed to have to serve. But like they have lawyers, like bro, guess what? I don't. It's hardship for me. I can't do it. Or
Exactly. Yeah, I run a business. I don't have time to come here and spend all this time down here. Yeah. So, uh,
but sorry, but I would say so. Firstly, I'll just go back. So the RICO charge was the charge that could have been more detrimental
mhm.
to his, you know, either being in jail for a very long time or either serving a shorter term or coming home. And me hearing people say, and actually, I'll go back. I'll start here. So with that charge, like I said, he would have served more time. Um, guess what? He is, based on what I've heard, real freaky. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
He's like the probably one of the bosses that you have to go through, you know what I'm saying? Of freakdom, you know what I'm saying? To get to a higher freak level, right?
I mean, so was Luke and Two Live Crew, but you know,
Yeah, I mean, I was never at a party, so I don't know how far this exceeded, but based on what people were saying, this is what, this is just this is my commentary. You know what I'm saying? I don't know for sure because I wasn't there. I wasn't invited, but
if he was invited, would you have shown up?
I probably would have, man, because I didn't know what was going on
We
there.
got baby on down, huh?
Nah, none of that would have happened. You know what I'm saying? Hey, guess what? We would have been I would have been either kicked out or we would have been chunking them.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? However, what's crazy is that he, he is, like based on what I hear, I can't 100% verify that because I've never been involved in it, as we just clearly stated.
Mm.
But, and I'll say this too, the video that I saw in the hotel was disturbing. You know, that is a form of they look like domestic violence to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you being on trial for RICO and as it relates to sex trafficking
Mm-hmm.
doesn't equate to domestic violence. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not what you're on trial for. And so me hearing people saying, "Oh, he did all of this stuff and he deserves to go to jail," even though he wasn't found guilty for the things that he actually was on trial for.
He already paid her for that too.
Man, 20 mil.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hella wrong that people would say that. And it's mainly women
Yeah.
that I hear saying that. Okay, yeah, I get it. He did do something egregious, but guess what? I believe the jurors came back with what they thought was right, and I agree with him not being convicted of racketeering because that wasn't what that was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and guess what? If you can convict him for racketeering, then guess who needs to be with him?
Who?
He was Batman, and his Robin, actually, it was Batwoman. I mean, Catwoman. You know,
Mm.
yeah, hey, Cassie should have been right there with him
Right.
because you know she was complicit in a lot of those things based on the evidence. I'm just talking about what evidence they said was brought about. I saw a post actually by DJ Vlad, and I can't substantiate this, but he said he had conversations with 3 of the the male, I don't know what they prostitutes or whatever they were, but that she paid them, she picked them up, and they were involved in sexual activities.
Mm.
So if that's not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is all that consensual? Is that like against your will? Like, I'm just trying to see what form of, freakiness is going on here.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I can't. I can't really say that. You know,
Right.
I
So
don't
would
go.
she be in trouble if you agree to do this, based on who I am, what I'm here for, who I'm here for. So
They also have recordings of her threatening to unalive somebody, unalive
Mhm.
a guy, and it's like, okay, I get that he's on trial,
Mhm.
but it doesn't sound like that he's alone in this stuff. Like
Mhm.
if he gets convicted of racketeering, then she needs to be part of the racket,
Right. Yeah,
and that
that's
wasn't the
true.
case. Like everybody continues to, try to say she's not part of it or she's not guilty or like make her a victim in all of this. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
believe it.
That's
I don't
sort of
believe
like New Jack City, Nino Brown and Albie Shore when he's like, "Hey man, this thing is bigger than me. If I'm going down, everybody's going down."
everybody. Everybody going down. But I think that the defense, you know, um, they fought well, on his behalf because the witnesses that he had, they made them look as if they weren't credible. They didn't have any evidence that would say, okay, yeah, he should be charged, for racketeering.
Mm-hmm.
And it amazes me and it shows me how people are because they would really want somebody to serve the rest of their life in prison, for something that they actually didn't do.
Mm.
I've said this before, about how women, say, he assaulted me, and they say, you know what, I want that bread. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But they don't come after him, they come after him civilly, but not, criminally.
Right.
And it may be some, some reasons that I might not be aware of as to why they do that initially, but it's wrong to me.
Mm.
It just seems off. But you know, Jonathan Majors, Johnny Depp, like we see, what happens when you believe what they say. In
Yeah.
these instances, like you lose everything. Like how is he gonna recover from this? He's never gonna recover from this. This is gonna be a stain on his legacy. It's gonna be a stain, like even his kids, you know what I'm saying? Like his family, they're gonna have to, I'm sure they hear a whole lot of stuff already. You know what I mean? And you know how social media is. Like I had a dude the other day comment on a post that I commented on probably a month or two ago. The dude asked on his post, not the same guy. He said, and I'm ranting right now, so I'm gonna come back though, and I'll let you talk. But the guy was like, rate my spotting skills. So he was in the gym, he was spotting a dude, and he said, rate his spotting skills, right? Like, and I gave him a 5. He asked me, why did you give him a 5? I said, I gave you a 5 because, I would have probably I would have put, kind of put my hands under the weight and like gave him a little push up so he could get it up, get the weight up, on his own, but he kind of waited until it dropped, until he lost kind of like all his strength, and then help him up. So I gave him a 5, right? And then a month later, this dude gonna post, "Oh, your take is dumb." Like, bro. So imagine, like the kids with their social media, having to, deal with those comments.
Right.
I don't know if I could probably deal with it, but it'd just be annoying. I have to shut my social media down. Like, hey, bro, like, no more social media for me until this is all. Yeah, so it's just crazy, man. Like how people want somebody to spend the rest of their lives behind bars for something they didn't do. Guess what? He did do the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? That I saw on video. I think he that did appear like it was domestic violence. And I don't know if that was the type of relationship that they had. But to me, it was wrong and it was not something that I would do. But just because he did that, that's not what he was on trial for. He was on trial for something totally different, and he was not guilty because they didn't find any evidence of that. So
yeah,
I'm quiet.
Yeah, I mean that evidence right there should have been permissible. Shouldn't have been allowed because it has nothing to do with the validity of this case. If you're only adding that to kind of speak to his character or making it seem like he would do something, like this based on having domestic violence issue with his partner, that's not, making it truer because he did this. You can't say someone's a serial killer because, they beat up their wife.
Right.
You can't, because you have to have evidence, So I am one way or another okay with how it went in terms of the verdict. But, I think they had to give them, 1 or 2 charges, the lesser charges, because of the money that they spent having to go through this thing. They have to save some face somewhere. Because I flew someone out that agreed to be flown out, and we was going to have a good time. That's not prostitution. That's consensual agreements, but for whatever reason, they made it seem like it was, and they kept him in jail for that. I don't get that one. I don't agree with that. I really don't. He should have been able to go on. The major charge you're trying to get him on, you couldn't. I felt like you were embarrassed that you couldn't get him on that, so that's why you're keeping him.
And that's another thing. I was going to ask you that question. So, but you pretty much answered it. The prosecution, and actually the reporter stated it. This was a case, high profile case, but it was also a case that most people won't be found not guilty on these charges. You know what I mean? Because usually the case is so I'm lost for words right now, but the case is so ironclad, for lack of better words, that they usually get the person. You know what I'm saying? Like the percentage of them actually being guilty is like in the high 90s versus, this not being guilty. And and I don't know what happened. Like, what do you think happened as to why they didn't have the evidence to convict him, on a case where usually, they're pretty, their percentage is pretty high at them convicting people, not necessarily for just trafficking, but just in general. When this Fed, right? The FBI. Yeah. So at what percentage, the question is, why do you think they failed at convicting him?
Because there was nothing to convict him on. He wasn't trafficking.
Right. No, I mean, like it. Like, I mean, I know this is an opinion because we really don't know. But why do you why do you think they didn't have the evidence, or like what do you think they felt? Just a guess, like where they fell, and not just like, oh, they didn't have necessarily the evidence, but like did they not do enough research into this? Did they not have enough witnesses? Like what do you think?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
know it's just a guess.
all the above. All the above. Anytime you are trying to get someone on a RICO charge, if that's an organization, you're pretty much running an organized crime ring. And you don't have enough individuals to go along with that to say that it was an organized crime, subsequent network. Because all the celebrities was at his parties and this and that. So if you're saying he's running a crime network, then you have to implicate all those people, which some of those people had to come into court.
Right.
Most didn't. But if you implicate him in doing that, then you have to implicate all those other celebrities. And they
Right.
weren't going for that. You know what I'm saying? So that's
100%.
why.
Yeah.
So since they put all that time and energy into it, now we're embarrassed. Now I got to get you on something. You might have got away with that major one, which we were trying to get you on. If we got you on that major one, they probably would have, turned those two lesser charges
Not
down.
guilty.
But since we couldn't get him on that, we're going to get you on something.
Right.
And of course, the jury is the one making that decision. But it's just kind of like, okay, I'm kind of thinking in that terminology.
Yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about uh the ins and out of like the court system. I just know, I've been there to serve. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But I've seen instances where, if you get prosecuted, like, hey, you going to jail. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Going to jail now. And and nobody could save you. Like usually, like when you hear somebody, has a RICO charge, they in trouble. You know what I mean? Like not a large percent of people end up going to jail, from history, but I don't know, they just dropped the ball, overall. Go ahead. You gonna say
Well,
something?
you got to think about too. The last RICO charge case we saw that was high profile was Young Thug and his network. He got off,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure he had to give up a whole lot of other people to do so.
Right.
People have to realize and understand that Diddy's house got raided, so they took a whole lot of information. So a lot of that information that they took from his house, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of people implicated in the freak offs or implicated on doing certain things, or having certain relationships or relations, but it had nothing to do with trafficking. You know, it was just like you said, they call it the freak off.
Right.
So I mean, there are some things that in the legal game, people have to give up. People agree to say, okay, we'll do this, but then you can't get me on this because I'm giving you this. I
Right.
already gave you this information, so you got to let me go here because you got what you needed. You got what you wanted. I don't have anything else beyond that. So, okay, well, we'll do that. But then these two charges lesser, we'll get you on those, but then you won't do any time. That's how the game goes. Yeah, you got to go back to jail tonight, but you'll have time served, and you'll get to go home once we read the. Well, he already read the final verdict, so I don't know why he's still going back to jail. Unless they have to give him some jail time, which I don't think they will. They'll probably give him house arrest, which is even better for him. Because it's freak offs every day now. I'm back home. I'm about to party
Hey,
up.
hey, hold on. Watch my monitor. Watch my monitor. Don't hit my monitor. I don't want to alert them. But look at this right here. So if you look at that, I just did a little Google search. Here's a breakdown of what the sources indicate.
Mm.
High federal conviction rates. Federal prosecutors have a very high conviction rate, with one source citing a conviction rate of more than 97% in cases where RICO was the most serious charge between 2018 to 2022. Another source suggests it's nearly 100%. Well, we know it's not 100% like now, but in that short span, that's still that's an A+.
Yeah, I mean that's like pretty much a 90. Yeah, it's very, very high conviction rate. The first time I heard of a RICO charge was in the movie
Right.
Batman.
Who?
Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises. Okay. I
Yeah,
was
so
thinking
that's
about a movie. Trying to see. Oh, Frank Lucas.
oh yeah, okay. Blue Magic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my product. I stand on it. It's like Pepsi.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
Man, yeah, that was one of my, I don't say one of my favorites, but I enjoyed that movie as well.
Yeah, I mean it was definitely a peek into, actually it's part of American culture.
For sure.
Exploitation through drugs. So it is what it is.
Man, I need 10%.
Man, who you tell?
Well, that's what Idris Elba said, and actually said you need 25%. And he had, Denzel was like, "Hey man,
Oh yeah, he blew him away in
for sure.
broad daylight.
Here go your 10% right here.
So your tens a bit, yeah, and then threw the dollars on him
Yeah,
at the end.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
yeah.
So, yeah, that you know what I was actually gonna bring up too. It's crazy that he got a racketeering charge, a trumped up charge, no pun intended. But then you haven't heard about. I keep bringing this up. Anaconda and Fitch, those CEOs, they was actually flying male models out. Drugs is involved. You know what I'm saying? Sex was involved, and we ain't heard nothing about them.
Right.
I haven't. Well, I'm sorry. I don't want to say we. I don't want to. Speak to everybody's experience, but I haven't heard anything about them.
Sounds like a double standard, doesn't it?
It sounds like a double standard. And let me see if I could. It might not be. I don't even know how to spell the damn anaconda. Oh, there it go right there. Amber Combry. Okay. I don't know if it was that long. Let me see. That's okay. Let's see. Anyway. Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy, man, for people to want this dude to go to jail. It's like I'm crossing the street, jaywalking. I mean, jaywalking is not illegal now, but I'm jaywalking, and then they say, you know what, we're gonna charge you for hit and run, and then I go to jail, and they be like, you know what, he been jaywalking, what I'm saying, all this time, he done jaywalk so many times.
Let me hit him with it.
Hey, but we gonna charge him for this. You know what? He got acquitted, for hit and run.
Right.
He did all that jaywalking. He deserved to go to jail, but it don't even make sense. And that's really what it's like. Like, yes, he did some things. Guess what? They could come. Actually, I don't think they could revisit that charge, like the domestic violence. And I think that's why a lot of people are up in arms about it. But like, I mean, the justice system has, to some extent, done its job. And to your point, I don't think that he should still be in jail. And I think that was, like you said, embarrassment, but also, it was, we couldn't get you on this.
Keep talking. 2 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. So I just think that you know, it was wrong. And I heard that as soon as the judge came back, it wasn't even a whole lot of time that they came back with, you know, he came back with his bail being denied. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. I just think that, you know, we need to do better, you know, as individuals, man. We need to take our time, look at what's going on, see what he was charged for, or what's going on, and gather information. Like we said, you know, at the end, in all things, get understanding. And you know, for those people who say he should be still in jail, you know, he should have got convicted. You know, like you guys didn't do your research. You just probably listened to, you know, what people were saying in talking points. And you know, these networks are going to let you hear what they want you to hear. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna let you hear what they want you to hear. But let's see. I'm trying to find the information about the Anacambri and Fitch. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Oh, so yes, 8 months ago. Let me share this real quick. We'll just go over this briefly. And people forgot
Is that
about
even the case?
Huh?
I said, is that even the case? We know he had the story. Oh,
Yeah,
here we go.
I don't know. Nah, this is 8 months ago. So I don't let's see what if anything happened.
Prosecutors announced that the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch has been arrested on sex trafficking and prostitution charges. Mike Jeffries led the popular clothing brand from the early 1990s to 2014. And during some of those years, prosecutors say Jeffries helped recruit and pressure men to take part in sex events around the world. They also say the people involved were led to believe that it would benefit their careers and could lead to modeling opportunities with Abercrombie.
Bro, what does that sound like? What does that sound like? Hey, I'm not a genius, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a genius, but sounds a little fishy to me.
Yeah.
A little fishy to me.
Right. I agree.
Just my humble opinion, man.
Listen.
Anyway. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, that actually sounds worse, you know. So I mean, I haven't heard anything. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, you know.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah, interesting. But anyway, do you have any other things, any other things you want to bring up about Diddy?
No, man, just to be continued. You know, I'm pretty sure they'll try to have this, you know, go off into the sunset as quickly and easy as they can because they didn't win. So, you know, we'll be talking about it for months to come, though, for sure. So I'm just interested to see, you know, how the hip hop and rap world, you know, goes through it because nobody probably reached out. Everybody probably stayed a distance. I think Ye is the one who showed up to support, but they told him to go home or something like that. I heard. So
Okay, I didn't hear that.
yeah, I don't think anybody else famous, or I could be wrong, showed up. You know, because they want to distance themselves from it. I didn't see LeBron, you know, show up not once.
He
You
was
know,
he said ain't nothing like a Diddy party, man.
right? Exactly. That's what I heard too. So I'm just like, man, yeah.
Oh man.
I'm just like, man, where's the support, man? When your brother's down, you know.
Man,
No Kevin Hart, no Usher, you know, no
yeah.
Rick Ross, you know,
Maybe that's where
no Junior Mafia, no Lil Kim, you know, no 112.
She was there, they just didn't recognize her.
She's looking like the leprechaun. That's why.
Oh man.
Thought it was St. Patrick's Day around here. Like,
Hey, nah, it's it, I mean, maybe she was taking a play out of the Independence Day, the movie, like the alien. I don't know, man.
oh man.
Hey, well, yeah, that you bring up a valid point though, man. Like all his so-called friends, all these people that were at these events that he threw, nowhere to be seen.
Nobody spoke up. Nobody said free Diddy. No type of no type of vote or die campaign. Nothing, man. No, Diddy's innocent. Like none of that. Everybody was mute.
Yeah, you know what I did hear Mace, kind of speaking up front for him. But outside of him, I really don't know who else. I can't really speak to anybody else.
Yeah, I told you. Yay. Yay was the only one.
Go home. Yeah,
he actually came up there and they told him to go home.
That's crazy. That's crazy. He probably got there late.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, this would be interesting, man. It's crazy how I'm about to stop saying that too. It's crazy how it's not crazy. I have to come up with another word to anyway. But it's funny how that's another word I need to get rid of too. That things like this happen, man. How people, get ghosts. Like a friend is a friend. A friend should be a friend, be a friend. And if you're supportive of somebody, you should be supportive. I mean, not saying you have to okay the lifestyle, but I mean, you knew what was going on in the parties. So what the lifestyle was, but he's in need. But this is good for him though, I think, because now he gets to see, it wasn't about, him as a person. It was about, what he can do for people. And sometimes people need, I don't think the wake up calls need to be this extreme, but sometimes we need a wake up call, man. Hey, all y'all cats that wasn't there. Man, so what about Meek Mill, man? You doing that, daddy? You know what I'm saying? What about Meek Mill? I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Anyway,
yeah.
Hop into the next topic. Let's see. Oh, that's the anaconda being fixed though. Trump enforces birthright citizenship order as early as this month. Let's see what they talking about.
Joining me now, retired ICE agent Victor Avila. Victor, it's great to see you again. So I think I have the pattern. I think I've figured it out. Trump is United States president. AOC, dressed in all white, is crying outside of a Border Patrol facility.
I remember that.
Joe Biden is president. No problem. Separate minors from their parents. President Trump is in office again, and we got to worry about the real concentration camps being built in Florida. But Joe Biden is president, and you have prisons in 110-degree heat in Arizona.
I was down there in Eagle Pass just 18, 20 months ago, seeing 9,000, 12,000 a day in one location, Will. This is dramatic. This is what we needed. We needed dramatic action versus dramatic consequences of the open border Biden regime that happened. And let's not forget, the left is always blaming everybody else, but they never think about someone. They'll blame the alligators, they'll say the alligators, they'll save everyone except the victims of crime and Americans. They never put them first. Never forget about even the migrants themselves, the illegals that drowned. I saw floating bodies in the river. The rapes, the stuff that Tom talks about, I saw that in my career as well. We never think about them. We're also saving lives while we're securing that border.
That's a great point. We're not just talking about a drop in attempts to cross the southern border, but we've even seen reports over at Fox News Digital of Mexican border towns saying the drug trade impact on their town on the southern side in Mexico is better since we've seen Donald Trump in office as president. One thing that's not better right now, though, is attacks on ICE agents. Victor, we've seen, and we have the stats to back this up, some incredible stats. In January 2024, there were 10 attacks over a 6-month period, going from January to June of 2024, 10 attacks on ICE agents. This year, over that same period of time, it's up to 79 attacks on ICE agents. That's almost a 700% increase.
We cannot continue this way. This is intolerable. This is something that any police officer has to go through this, any law enforcement officer, but because somehow you're enforcing immigration law, you're looking at these stats. It is something that they have to face a consequence for attacking an ICE agent and going after them, doxing them, identifying them. This is dangerous. He said, I'm a victim at the hands of the cartel. I know what that's like. I know what it is to go through that. I don't want another agent to go through that. This has to be stopped. And the only way you do it is by holding those accountable that continue to do this. Whether it's a rock, it could be a rock. People think that it has to be a shooting. It doesn't have to be. There's many, many forms of assaults.
Muted.
Yeah, I'll stop it right there. But it's pretty funny how, none of this stuff or some of the stuff doesn't come out or it comes to us as a negative. I was actually sharing with my daughter. If you look at the numbers of deportations for the deporter in chief, Barack Obama, he wasn't given that nickname for for just no apparent reason. But he deported a lot of people. Kids in cages. You know what I'm saying? Biden even deported millions of people. I mean, also it was kind of counterproductive because he let millions of people in here. And none of them had a due process. I know we talked about that. About having due process. I did actually look into that, and there's not a due process for illegal immigrants. I don't know of any country. I haven't done full research, but I don't know of any country where there is a necessary due process for illegal immigrants. But I don't want to go deep into that because we'll come back and talk about it later. But they cover this stuff up, or they make it look as if they're doing the greatest job ever, when it comes to a certain group of people. But then when another group does the same thing or at a more efficient way, well, let me not say that more efficient way, but when they do the same thing, they go up in arms. It's like the term the pot calling the kettle black. And I just don't understand how it happens. Like my cousin said, it's a psyop. Yeah, is that a psyop? They want you to believe what they want you to believe, so they're gonna spit rhetoric to you, and it's not just gonna be one source. It's gonna be multiple sources that gives you that same rhetoric, so it could be made believable. So that's why you gotta look at other resources, check other sources, do your research, because they're gonna make you believe what they want you to believe, and have you looking silly out here in these streets. But anyway, I'll go ahead and pass the baton.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak to that this way. Sometimes you have to get outside the box so you can see that you're in a box. And the box that I call America is the box, So I'm pretty sure if people are able to start traveling internationally, they'll start to take into consideration some different perspectives based on how people live, what people know and understand about America from looking at the information that we're only given. I was talking to one of my partners a long time, and he just came back from Belize, and he was telling me that the tour guys there knew more about American history than I knew, or that knew a school teacher, or someone that actually lives in America, because we are such a dumbed down society, and the reason is so we can be controlled. by this side or that side, by this information or that information. So you're not giving the full story, so you can't learn to think for yourself. You're only giving bits and pieces of information because they want you to become dependent on, whoever's in control, whoever's in power.
But this is
You
the
know,
land of the free and the home of the brave. They don't want us to be able to think freely.
right. Yeah, they want you to think freely, but they want you to think that you're thinking freely. Not that you're actually thinking freely. There's a difference. So if I set it up in such a way, just like these companies, you think you have choice, but so many of these companies are bought by the bigger companies and then they take over. You have a company that you love and you enjoy, and then they sell it for $10 million, and then the product's not the same because it's been bought by another company. They change the formula, they change the recipe to maximize, that profitability from that company, or they do it so the company can dissolve itself because it's no longer the product that people came to love. So now that competition is gone, so I can continue to sell what I've already been selling because I've already bought the other company. Now I can shelve it, So some ways more not than others, a capitalist society is good, but it also can be bad if you look at it a certain way. It's the best thing to happen, or to have, I should say, versus a socialistic, society, you know. So it just depends on how you look at it. And how you look at it, you have to have the full information in order to make a determination on if it's beneficial for you or if it's been more beneficial for someone else. So if it's more beneficial for someone else, eventually it's going to become detrimental, to someone else, because it's designed to do it that way. Our system is designed the way that it is designed for a reason, and it's working exactly like it's supposed to work because it was designed that way. So, looking at a perspective of if illegals have rights or not, everyone's a human being first and foremost.
Right.
So we all have some type of human rights. Understandably so, we are under certain laws, but each state has their own constitution. So I want people to understand that. If you look up on the internet, you can Google it, your state constitution. We have one in California. You can Google the one in Nevada. You can Google the one whatever state that you live in. Everyone has a constitution. So I would encourage people to start pulling that information up so you can understand, what's happening and what the game really is about.
Absolutely. I just
So
wanted to share this because I don't think we. I mean, I know we were talking about we want to talk about birthright citizenship and how that's going away, but I don't think I don't want to go too far off of it. But I did want to bring up. Let's see this right here. So the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guarantees birthright citizenship. Specifically, it states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to a jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. This means that anyone born within the physical boundaries of the United States with few expectations is automatically a U.S. citizen, regardless of their parents' immigration status. That's not the actual way that the Constitution is written, but it's just a synopsis.
there's no citizenship in the Constitution. So if you look in your state constitution, citizenship is not in there. So this goes against your state constitution. You're a citizen of the United States, but that doesn't say America. This is America, which is a continent. So those are two separate things. And people think they're the same, but it's not. United States of America is also something different. Because when you look at the word of and what the word meaning of is, there's a difference there as well. So I would tell people to start to look at words and how they're put together, and then you'll start to be able to uncode and decode some things. Because that's what I've been learning lately. Like, wait a minute, okay, so that sounds the same. Is it not the same? So if you're a U.S. citizen or you are a United States citizen of what? What state? If I'm a United States citizen of California, then what's the California Constitution say about citizens? Start there. You can either be a citizen or you can be a national because you are born in a certain nation state. Every state is its own nation. People don't realize that either. So when you're born in California, you're a Californian, as they call it. You're a national, American national, state of California.
So what are you saying about as it relates to people born here who are not part of the U.S. or who are not?
Birthright. Going back to what we were talking about before, birthright citizenship. If we break it down and we look at it, you're under the jurisdiction of this entity. So you're going to be a citizen, based on under this citizenship. But your state constitution says something totally different. You see how they kind of conflict with one another. So it's like they're saying that you're this thing and you're agreeing to it, but you don't understand what it is. So everybody that's born here is naturally they're naturalized because they were born here. Now, if you come here, and you're not born here, you also have rights. You still have rights. You may not have certain privileges because rights and privileges are different. There's a difference. You have rights under your state constitution, God-given rights. You're granted privileges, by becoming a U.S. citizen or saying that you're a U.S. citizen. Those are two different things.
Okay,
So
how do you feel that the rights, based on how birthright citizenship is no longer, I don't want to say being accepted, but no longer a thing in the United States of America?
Yeah, so they're making everybody go through the process of what you're supposed to be doing in order to become a citizen here. So they're not accepting you coming here and having kids anymore, in order to become a citizen or for your children to become a citizen, because you've been able to do that for 20, 30, 40 years. So they're taking that out, now you have to go through the process, whether you were born here or not, is what you're saying. Because the Constitution does not protect you because citizens are not, it's not in the Constitution. So you can't have that argument. So then you would have to go through the Constitution to see, okay, where are my rights as a human being? What are your rights?
So you don't think the 14th Amendment talks about citizenship as it relates to the U.S.?
Yeah, but the people got to understand what the U.S. is. The U.S. is an entity. It's a business. It only was supposed to be for the descendants of slaves. That's why they came up with the 14th Amendment.
Right. So that, yeah, exactly.
So if you go back and look
at that,
yeah. So if you go back and look at what cases at Roe versus Wade, it talks about that too. A lot of people were talking about that. So if we go back and look at that, that'll give you some more information to the study, which I need to study more of. So we can fully understand what you're a part of, what you're agreeing to, because out of your mouth, so shall you be. So if you say I'm something, then okay, they're going to go with that. But if you say
I'm a boy, Damon.
or I'm a U.S. citizen, Damon, I'm not an American. Which that's what our girl Raymond Simone was saying. I'm not an African American. I'm an American. These are all terms, and codes, that identify a certain demographic of people. And it's not just color, it's status. Which black is the lowest, you can get here in America. and that's by design. Yeah, we can say I'm black and I'm proud, but legally, it's something totally different. Culturally, yeah, it's empowering. This is us. We're gonna march. We're gonna make it beautiful, of course. Legally, it's something totally different on paper.
Man, we yeah, I mean, apparently I got some studying to do, but I don't know. I was just looking. I'm looking at the well, and I think this is paraphrased. I'm trying to find the actual 14th Amendment, but it does say it states all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. and subject to its jurisdiction are citizens of both the United States and the state where they reside,
Mm-hmm.
according to the American Immigration Council.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like it's covering both those or checking both those boxes that you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know what? I actually, man, I'm glad you said that because I totally forgot. I mean, this came up because we were talking about the Raven Simone video.
Mm-hmm.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I don't know. Maybe we could address it fully another time because I know you on your way out of there shortly. Let's see. Yeah, because I don't have it up. I mean, I don't have the clip up right now. What the heck? I mean, I guess we could just we could just talk about it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I got a little time.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so we know what she said, but we'll say it for the viewers that and actually, give me a second. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I just don't know who these people's videos are. I don't know whose video this is, but hopefully they don't do me like the
Copyright.
lunch ladies did. Yeah.
Mm.
This I think it'll be easier for me to cut it out though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try. All right.
I am not an African American. I'm an American. I am a Black American. I am definitely Black. And yes, my ancestors come from Africa. How long does a bloodline have to live in one land before they are considered a pure species of that land? Meaning, how long did my people have to be in America to say, hey, no, we're American, compared to some people who are English American, who are Irish American, who are German American from their ancestors, but they get to call themselves American. There's nothing wrong with being African American, but a true African American is someone that is from Africa and moved here, either first generation or second generation, and has a tie to that country that I do not have. One of the first census.
I'll stop her right there because she hit on one of the key points, key things that I've always. Let me not say that always that I've more recently thought, thought about or considered. So she said that she's not African American, and firstly, I'll just say this: a lot of Africans don't even f with us. You know what I'm saying? I'll just say, I mean, there are some, but there are some that don't. I'll just say that. I don't want to say a lot. There are some that don't. They have certain. They think we're lazy. They think we're not taking full advantage of the opportunities, that we have, which some of us don't, but some of us do. And I've heard it, not me hearing people say it, but I personally have heard, some of those things about other individuals, not about myself. But how far, removed do we have to be away from, or be far removed from a group that, we're not still labeled as that group? I think that's kind of what she was saying. Like, it's been, over 400 years, I'm sure, because slavery has been, over about 400 years. So that's when a lot of, of the people were brought over here from Africa, in the slave trade. And I know it exceeds that. So, yes, we're American. Yes, our descendants years and years ago were African, but like, I don't know anything. I don't want to say I don't know anything about Africa, but there's no connection with me in Africa. I don't, I don't eat the food. I don't involve myself in any of the, African culture as it relates to, we'll just use a holiday for example, Kwanzaa. I've heard about it, but I don't really know the foundation of why it was established, or what Kwanzaa is set up for. I mean, set up. I don't, you know any of their like cultural things that they do. You know what I mean? I only know American culture. And so for me to call myself African American, I started to think like, yeah, I'm American and I'm black, but I don't want to identify as African American because
Right.
it doesn't, describe me or who I am. In the black, yeah. I mean, that's probably closer because of my skin tone, but African American doesn't describe me and describe the people that, I'm with, you know. So yeah, what do you think about what she had to say?
Yeah, I mean everything that she had to say was pretty much spot on in terms of what she was saying. I can definitely follow her thought process. I will disagree. Black American, again, none of us are black. If we look at ourselves, you're brown, I'm brown. She's a lighter shade of brown. So black is a misnomer. We have to get away from using that as a identifier because that's how they put people to sleep, you know. Understandably so, African American is also another misnomer because we're in Africa, you know. When you go to Africa, there's different countries. So it has to be, Ghana, I'm from Ghana, or I'm from, you know, the
Kenya,
Congo. I'm from
Congo,
Tanzania, I'm from Kenya, you know. There's so many different countries there that, we can all speak to. Ethiopia, you
Georgia.
know, you're exactly, you know. So by her saying that, I mean, I think people get to spark the conversation of what do you mean by that? Let's learn to listen and then ask probing questions that's going to allow you to go deeper in how you think about a subject. And then that gives you the ability to kind of enlighten yourself based on what you hear because the information will start to resonate with you because you've already been in search of, what you're hearing currently, you know. So I can tell by her, hearing that has kind of bothered her throughout her life, because she doesn't feel, hey, I'm not from Africa. I've never been there. I don't have, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations don't come from there. We come from here on this continent. So I'm American. But there's a reason why that's done. It's done on purpose. It's strategically done. And I tell people you have to really go back because before that it was Negro, you know, and before that it was something else. You could have been Native American, Aboriginal. You could have been more. I mean, there's different terms that the people of a continent that was already there were giving. Yes, there were some people brought here, but the majority of us was already here, you know. So the whole slave thing didn't happen like they could think it happened, you know. So once we start to kind of ask different questions instead of just accepting a story or a narrative, we're able to kind of be creatively looking at information and kind of ask those probing questions that allow us to seek and research, you know, the real information, not just the information that's given to you by someone that may look like you or may not look like you.
Right.
You know, because usually someone that's researching and doing historic exploration, they'll give people a name that they find based on their own understanding or interpretation of that person. That's probably not what they call themselves. You know, you have to figure out what they call themselves. That's the real information. So African American was a made up term to describe a whole different graphic of people that was already here in America.
So I mean, so you're saying that the slave thing didn't happen?
It didn't happen the way that we think it happened. We weren't all brought over here on ships from Africa.
How we brought over here then?
We was already here.
Not all of us.
Yeah, a majority of us were.
But it's historical. It's history that, you know, there's several groups that, you know, the Spaniards, you know, even, you know,
Yeah,
some of
maybe
the
about
Europeans
10,
that
12,
started.
not 400 people at a time. There are some historical stories, you know, and documents of some slave ships, but it wasn't strictly from Africa. It was happening all over the world.
No, I agree with that.
People were trading their own people. There were people taken from here and taken over to Jamaica and the Caribbean islands, from here to Puerto Rico. You know, it was happening because that was just part of a way of life. White people were slaves through Irish, Polacks. They were slaves too first.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And
Mhm.
then and that's why let me see. I was trying to look that up. But yeah, I agree. You know, there, but you know, I think it was like a pass down type effect. Like they were slaves, and you know, like, hey, we don't want to be slaves. So we had these other people that we could, you know, overtake and let them take our place. But let me see. I'm gonna see because I'm curious about that because you saying it
Yeah,
did.
those were the Indians. The Indians were selling, you know, Aboriginals into slavery. The people that were put here to be the Indians, they were not here originally. They came from, where did they come from? I'm looking for the word. Uh, I can't think of it. But yeah, those are not the real Indians. The real Indians just look like me and you, not the ones you see on Cowboys and Indians, the movies.
Tonto.
Right. That's not the real. That's not the real Aboriginal. Indians, even an incorrect term because none of these people are from India.
Right.
So we're all backwards and, you know, upside down because we've been giving bits and pieces of information, but it's all been falsely put together to kind of hold a narrative together to keep people, you know, in control and not looking for the right and proper information so they can free themselves by having the correct knowledge. If you don't have the correct knowledge, you know, I'll let you go be proud as you want to be. But then if you start asking questions to see the true and original information, oh, then we got a problem. Because if I'm not looking for you to save me or take care of me, I'm being self-sufficient because I have the true information, then how can you be in power anymore? If I empower myself, then I don't need you to empower me anymore. And that's a problem.
Yeah, it becomes a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Becomes a problem. Throughout history, yeah. People have only been here to live life and conquer other people's lives. That's what it's been about.
Hmm. hear that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do my research.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because then yeah, we do get certain things that are fed to us historically. Through books and stuff like that, and even through courses and stuff that we take about our history. And I've heard some different things. Like one, um, that a lot of the slaves were brought up. No, I'm sorry. Let me stop saying that word a lot. That there were slaves that were sold by, you know, um, their own people.
Mm-hmm.
I okay, and I did research, but to hear that most of us was already over here, that's something I hadn't heard before.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely will deep dive into it and come back to to it. But yeah, I don't know. But as far as what she said, and actually, you added to that, you know, we're not necessarily black either. We are brown. And it was a title that was given to us along with the other titles. And so yeah, I agree with her, for the most part as well. But it's not something that we think about. We just take a lot. Not we. I'm saying we as a general sense. So not necessarily me and you, but I'll just say we take that title. When it's on the application. We sign it proudly. You know, when somebody says that we're African American, we hold that badge of honor proudly. But I don't, like I said, I don't have any type of connection, to that group of people, whether we were born here, you know what I mean, or not. Like some of the history that we say that they have, we don't have. And I would bring this up too. Like, what do you think are, as far as like the brown American, like what do you think that, or what connection do we have to this country outside of us just being born here? Like, cultures, because we know that certain cultures, even if they were born here, that we don't do a lot of the same things. Like we don't cook a lot of the same foods. We don't season our food the same way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So where do you think where do you think that came from, or like the cult or where, how do we fit in, you know because I think other groups of people can attach themselves, to that. And maybe this, you bring up a point. If we were already here, for the people that think we were just brought here, them knowing that we're already here, that would be a connection that, or a separation that could be, tied together, and be like, okay, I have history here, not that my family or my, was brought over here, years ago, on a ship. So I don't know, like, what do you think? I don't know if my questions was worded properly, but
No, I mean, I got you. I mean, the first thing you said was the most important question. Like, other than being born here, how are we, connected to this land? And just by being born here, this is our land mass. This is our land. The most important thing in existence, beyond oil, beyond money, is control of the land. So if someone was originally from a space or a place, unless you kill everyone here, how can you move them totally anywhere else?
and I think I'm meaning like more like culturally, and because people like to say what black culture is. I wouldn't say some of that stuff is culture, but it's part of, it's it could be seen as part of our culture. But like they say rap is black culture, not necessarily. You know what I mean? Because I mean it is something that
Well,
we
it's part of our popular culture. Yeah, I will say that because it was created and invented, by the brown community, or you want to call it the black and brown community, you know? So, I mean, there's so many different levels of creativity and creation that we've done here. Architecture, art, music. You say it, we've created it. Everything here that you see has been created by someone that looks like you or me already before. And then it was taken and manipulated to look and sound like something else so they can feel like they created something. So a book I want you to get, what is it, 100 and something facts about the Negro. And it'll tell you. You look it up on Amazon, you'll find the book. But basically it gives you everything that we've invented. And it goes back beyond America. America's a baby country. It goes back way farther than that.
Ain't got no money or a fancy car.
Right.
You remember how they tried to switch it up on them? How they had
Right.
a white group singing that.
Exactly. And it sounds totally different. Right.
Yeah,
They call it whitewash.
man.
Same thing with Elvis. Whitewash.
100 amazing facts about the Negro.
There you go.
Okay. I'm going to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I can't let certain people see this, man. They get offended, you know.
What they get offended by? What do you want to get offended by? It's
Hey,
facts I want to know
they
about
hate
myself.
it, man. They want me to know about their culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I've been learning that all my life, and it hasn't done me enough, you know, to where I feel like I'm where I need to be. So I need to go seek out other information elsewhere.
Facts. Hey, man.
Yeah.
We long today. Pause. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
No, Diddy.
Overtime.
Man, I did want to. I mean, I know you got to walk out. If you walk out, that's cool. You know.
Yeah.
There's one other topic. I just wanted to touch a little bit on it. Malik Beasley. Man, sports betting. And I can't even talk too much. You know, but sports betting is a major thing right now. And it's been, man, you even have, you know, children, you know, in high school, junior high, you know, on these apps, you know, putting in, you know, props. And it's gotten so crazy, man, that you have an NBA star that's potentially gonna get caught up for throwing some games, or you know, throwing maybe not some games, but doing some things that change the course of bets. But let's see what this reporter has to say about it.
A sports betting scandal involving one of the NBA's top free agents. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert with more.
Basketball star Malik Beasley at the center of a federal investigation into whether he gambled on the NBA.
Beasley locates the line.
Sources say at least one prominent sportsbook detected unusually heavy betting interest on Beasley's statistics beginning around January 2024 when he was playing for the Milwaukee Bucks. During a game on January 31st, a surge of bets were placed on Beasley making fewer than 2.5 rebounds. He finished with 6, meaning those bets lost. But the activity was unusual enough to alert the sportsbook and federal authorities. The NBA says it's cooperating with the investigation. Beasley's attorney saying there have been no charges against Malik. It's just an investigation at this point.
It is an extremely serious situation because it goes to the very heart of if fans, spectators, anyone who cares, if you can trust what you're watching.
Beasley is a highly sought-after free agent. He was in talks to rejoin the Pistons on a $42 million contract, but those talks have reportedly been paused. The investigation comes after Miami Heat player Terry Rozier came under investigation earlier this year in connection with a game in 2023 where a high volume of bets were placed on his performance. Rozier has not been charged. But last year, Toronto Raptors player Jontay Porter was banned by the NBA after the league said he placed more than $50,000 on games and influenced those games to benefit gamblers he knew personally.
It's cardinal sin, that what he's accused of, there's nothing more serious.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Man. Malik Beasley. I got one more video because I want y'all to see how egregious this is, man. Oh yeah, here we go. Hopefully they play the other one as well. Share this tab. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Oh God! Look at that! Look, frozen, huh? Like Iceman. That's wild. Hold on, let's see. Yeah, I'll just share that one. And that's it. Hey, bro, sports betting is gotten way out of hand. And as the reporter stated, there's been multiple players who have been implicated in things. I haven't heard anything else about DeJounte. Actually, he got banned, but then Terry Rozier, I haven't heard anything recent about him. But it's gotten crazy, man. My question is how much money are you making? Actually, I have a different question. Why would you put your career at risk and you're making millions of dollars and you could see, like, people could see this stuff, right? Like, why would you put your job at risk and you're making millions of dollars to win these bets? And guess what? Why you being a dummy and doing it yourself if you gonna do that? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you might not trust the person. They might be like, hey, I need half of that or I need a percentage. Maybe that's why. But in my opinion, it's just my personal opinion. I think it's dumb. Like Porter, he got banned. So guess what? No more NBA for you, sir. So he's gonna have to do all betting. You know what I'm saying now? Like he could do betting full time. instead of having to, worry about, coming in and working on this game. It's crazy. It doesn't make any damn sense to me, man. Like, now Malik Beasley, I don't know if you saw that, if you got a chance to see that play, Color. Did you see him get froze at the top of the key? Like, like what is going on, bro? Like, that's you know what? You should have took some of that gambling money that you won and put it on acting classes, because that was the worst acting job that I've ever seen in my life. That's wild, bro. Yeah, I don't understand, man. I know you said you hadn't really heard about this, but do you have an opinion on if this is actually true, or do you have any opinion on any of that?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely one of those things where when you hear about it, but then you see it, it's like that's the first thing I thought when I saw it. I was like, oh man, he must be shaving points. And I didn't really get to hear the story fully, but it's like, I don't know if I'm making $1 million, I don't see the benefit of that. And then that just goes back to me or people saying athletes are not very smart, because for whatever reason you thought that was a good idea. And then, the acting job is so obvious, that, you're going to end up getting caught, because it's like, well, that didn't look right. That didn't look good. People are watching the games for this very thing all the time. So I don't know how people think they can get away with stuff like this, you know.
All right,
So hopefully it's not true for his sake,
right.
but like you said, with the onslaught of online betting, you know, it's kind of becoming addictive for a lot of people. You know, and
Yep.
I've done it here and there, you know, a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there, but I'm not really like a big gambler because I don't like to lose my hard-earned money that I didn't work for.
That's
You
a
know what I'm
fact.
saying? So it's just kind of like, all right, if I do a couple of dollars here, a couple of dollars there, I'm not gonna lose it. You know, it's supposed to be for fun anyway. But when you get to a point to where you putting your whole check on it, you know, or you risking your whole job for it, then yeah, you got a problem for
You know what,
sure.
man? I actually knew this guy. He went to school with us. Maybe I don't know if he was there when you got there, but he went to the same high school we went to. And I talked to him. I saw him. I happened to be at a casino out here with one of my friends. I don't know why I was there, but anyway, so I saw him there, and then you know we went on about our way. But then, and this is when we were adults. But then I talked to his girlfriend. I heard from his girlfriend somehow at the time, and she said that she gave him, money for like the rent, and that dude gambled it away, like lost all the money for the rent. Like that's a damn problem. Like when it becomes like that, you know what I'm saying, and then you risking, your career for it. That's a problem. When you risking your family for it, that's a problem. Like I don't know his family dynamic, if he's married, if he has kids, et cetera, et cetera. But bro, like you're risking it all, for a bet. And this is federal, bro. We just talked about federal. I mean, it's not a RICO charge, but like they gonna do whatever they have to do to make sure you get caught up. And we don't know how far it may extend too, because I just recently saw today, but I was trying to find that a baseball player is actually going to maybe investigated as well. So this is not just basketball. This is not, it's extending into other places. And actually, let me show you this other play real quick. This is the other one that I saw. So if you look at it, the score is 118 to 110. And he has a worried look on his face, right? I don't know why he's worried, because they didn't already lost. It's 5 seconds left on the clock. Watch this. Normally they dribble the ball out. Look at this.
Beasley's going to get it off. One last shot. How about Beasley? 21 points.
I'm not a bed man. I mean, I do kind of mess around, but I only put like $20 in there. When they got like a 50% bonus or 100% bonus. And so my 20 turned to 40, and I let that ride for a long time. But if I was the bed man, maybe I should say that. If I was the bed man, it looks like he really wanted to score that basket. I don't know why. I don't know what the over and under was. I don't know what the point spread was. I don't know what his props were for this particular game. I would have to do some more research. But normally, when it's 5 seconds left and you down by 8, you dribble the ball out, because there's no way that you coming back. But he went the length of the court. Hey, I need these 2 points real quick. You know what I'm saying? I need these. I need these.
But he could be like, oh man, that was because I was about to get a bonus, for my job. So I needed 2 more points to get my bonus. Or I needed them 2 more points so that 10-day contract can turn into a real contract,
He was getting paid like $7 million a year or something like that. So I don't know, man. Malik, we gonna have to take a look at this, brother, because You looking real suspicious out there. Like first, you got
Right.
froze, like Silver Surfer was out there, or what's one of the what's one of the characters that freezes you? I'm trying to see. I don't I don't know, but hey, you was out there frozen, man. I don't know what happened, man. Maybe, Professor X took control of your mind and told you don't move or something like that. I don't know, but that
Right.
looks suspect, brother.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I mean, hopefully that's not the case, but if that is, I think that it's gotten out of hand in his particular case. And I've heard of it getting, maybe this is another topic, but I've heard it getting really out of hand for even a lot of kids, man. They, getting into trouble early with are creating that habit early of betting. Yeah. So anyway, I guess that's all. Cuzzo doesn't have anything to add to this. I could tell by his nod. Did you have any closing remarks for the show?
Yeah, as always, cuz I appreciate you, man, holding it down in the studio. Hopefully I can get there next week. Hopefully I don't have anything happen, so I can get there early enough in time and enjoy your holiday weekend. With the family, everybody out there. Eat your barbecue or whatever. But always remember, man, don't just take things at face value. Do your research and not just enjoy your time. Do some good with your time so you can learn something new. So appreciate y'all and dang, cuz I'm tired over there yarning. I must be boring.
Nah, man, you
Wow.
good. Nah, you good. You good, man. I was up last night watching movies and stuff, which I could have been asleep. Got a good workout in firstly, but yeah. Anyway, I appreciate you as well. Episode 28, getting it in. Man, enjoy your weekend, each and every person out there. Cuz enjoy your weekend with the fam. And I don't know. I don't have much to say, man. I don't have anything to say. Signing off. Episode 28. And actually, I will say this. In all things, get an understanding. And guess what? Even if you don't know right then, when you become aware, that's when you start the search to get understanding. So enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. Man, don't be holding no fireworks in your hand, trying to be a superhero. Keep all your fingers this weekend, all your toes, and your
Yeah.
eyes. I seen a movie called Silver Bullet.
Mm.
Hey, that was one of the movies too. Hey, yeah. But anyway, that's all. Episode 28. What's up, Cuzzo Podcast? Signing off.